Hi, welcome to the Israel First television program with myself, Martin Blackham, with my wife, Natalie Blackham. We're here today with a special Israel First update from our studios in Jerusalem, bringing you news and interviews and updates. And today, as I just said, is an Israel First update. So we're going to have a look at the news, and we're going to go straight into the Jerusalem Post. We like to feature the Jerusalem Post. And a story we're going to do, and we don't normally feature this, is the weather. And it says here, you can catch that on the camera, it says Israel breaks record for most rainfall in 50 years. This is in the Jerusalem Post. Israel broke a record, a more than 50-year record for the highest amount of rainfall in northern Israel, according to the Israel Meteorological Service, as heavy rain swept the nation. Emergency services remained on high alert across the country, and municipalities have been putting special measures in place, from positioning sandbags, the things you put out when you have the heavy rain, in key areas, to clearing drainage systems in an effort to prevent casualties and damage. And I've just got another, this is the front lines, and you can see that on the camera. You can see someone wading their way through the water. And it is kind of a serious problem, Natalie, in Israel, when there's too much rain, because Israel is used to sun, and so they don't always have the right drainage for roads, and different cities have been affected in the plains of Israel.
And usually when you go to the Dead Sea, and even in other places in Israel, some roads get closed.
That's right.
And so it's a problem. Like, we had somebody who wanted to go to the Dead Sea, and we said, no, you can't go because the road will be closed. And they were like, oh no, my gosh. And I'm like, this is a reality, because people don't understand that Jerusalem and the Dead Sea, so you can imagine all the water gushing, and it's dangerous. Every year we have some people who die because they go to see the water gushing out, and sometimes it's very dangerous because they arrive very, very quickly. So yeah, we had a lot of rain.
It's been absolutely amazing, and thank you for your support. Because of your support, we're able to do the program. We've just got time for a quick email before we do the next news story, Natalie, and this is from New Mexico in the United States, and this is from a viewer, and her name is Yvette, and she says, thank you for your time and investment. I'm a new viewer of your channel, and it's a blessing to receive knowledge in general of your nation. Israel is in my heart. I live in the state of New Mexico. Thank you for reaching out to our region. Well, hi, New Mexico. We say hello to you, and we appreciate your emails. Wherever you're living in the world, please email us. We love to receive your emails. Well, one of the big stories that's...
wait. We received one also this morning from Susan from South Africa. And the same, she's saying, hey, we are very happy to watch the program now here in South Africa. And she had also the book. Somebody gave her my book, The Beauty of the Hebrew Language, so she's very happy. So hi, Suzanne, and it's amazing, we are touching so many people all around the world.
And it's because of your support that we're able to do the program. So if you're able to support us, we appreciate that. Please visit the website, and there's a donate page, and more information how you can financially support the program and make more programs possible. Well, the big news as we've come into the studio has been the Holocaust Forum, the 5th World Holocaust Forum. This is the Jerusalem Post, and you can see here people from around the world who attended it, and it says the 5th World Holocaust Forum at Yad Vashem, the Holocaust Memorial Museum in Jerusalem. And Mike Pence says, we can only marvel at the faith resilience of the Jewish people. Very, very touching. It's been a very, very touching event. People have been coming from all over the world. And let me just give you a few of the people who've been attending. There's a huge list. President of Albania, the President of Armenia, the President of Argentina, the Governor-General of Australia, the King of Belgium, the President of Bulgaria, the President of Cyprus, President of the European Council, President of the European Parliament, President of France, President of Finland, of Georgia, President of Germany, the Crown Prince of Norway, the President of Portugal, the President of Romania, the Russian President, Vladimir Putin, was at the event, President of Serbia, the King of Spain, His Majesty King Philippe VI, I believe it is, President of Ukraine, Prince Charles from the United Kingdom, and from the United States Vice President Mike Pence. So absolutely amazing.
I know, when you think about that, it's like you have to put it in perspective also and looking with the Bible. And it's like before 1948, there was no state of Israel. And now the king and the princes and dignitaries are coming to Jerusalem to remember the Holocaust, which is really something amazing. And it was such an historical event.
And it was a huge event, you know, for Israel to organize, having all this security for all these leaders from around the world coming. And it said heads of state from Europe, North America and Australia converged at Yad Vashem, the World Holocaust Remembrance Center for the 5th World Holocaust Forum. The event was entitled Remembering the Holocaust, Fighting Anti-Semitism, as the world marks the 75th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz. This historic event takes place against the background of a rise in hateful and violent expressions of anti-Semitism, especially in Europe. Given the alarming situation, efforts to educate about the dangers of anti-Semitism, racism, xenophobia, and foster Holocaust commemoration, education, and research have made this event even more crucial and relevant than ever. The Holocaust aimed at the total annihilation of the Jewish people and the eradication of their culture and history was fueled by extreme racist anti-Semitism. In the aftermath of the Second World War, the international community enacted universal principles and instituted international organizations with the express purpose of averting future crimes against humanity.
And you know, in France also, they said now Macron has done a new law, which is very important, saying like anti-Semitism is also anti-Zionism. So there is a knowledge, there is something that we really need to take seriously. And not only that, but we have to have the responsibility, as there is less and less Holocaust survivors, is like our generation, we have also to say to our children, you know, the Holocaust existed. It happened. Because, you know, so many people now are saying it didn't exist. And it's like Abbas, who is a denier, you know, he denied that the Holocaust happened. But like when you see, you know, when you see the pictures, when you see all, and the Yad Vashem have so many amazing pictures and films, and really to show the people the extent of the Holocaust. And you know, one of the men who was so speaking during this Holocaust forum it was very important. He was saying this is not just a Jewish problem, because when there is anti-Semitism in a society, it means that your society is sick. There is something very wrong. And I think we need really to understand that, especially in Europe and even in America right now, what's happening.
Wherever you're living in the world, it's possible to let people know. You know, you say, well, I don't know what I can do. Well, one of the things you can do is to let people know what happened. There's a lot of information on the internet about the Holocaust, and you can, if you have a school near where you live, you can always get in touch and maybe take some information for the children to look at and understand what went on.
And social media right. is so
and
important.
Also social media is vital, and you can use that to get the information out as well. One of the amazing things was having all the different leaders come to speak at this big event, and Netanyahu, of course, was one of the Israeli leaders hosting the event along with the Israeli president. And I think we've got some video of him speaking to the forum.
Let us listen to it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Israel is eternally grateful to the immense sacrifice that was made by the allies, by the peoples and the soldiers, to defeat the Nazis and save our common civilization. Without that sacrifice, there would be no survivors today. Yet we also remember that some 80 years ago, when the Jewish people faced annihilation, the world largely turned its back on us, leaving us to the most bitter of fates. For many, Auschwitz is the ultimate symbol of evil. It is certainly that. The tattooed arms of those who passed under its infamous gates, the piles of shoes and eyeglasses seized from the dispossessed in their final moments, the gas chambers in crematoria that turned millions of people into ash. All these bear witness to the horrific depths to which humanity can sink. But for the Jewish people, Auschwitz is more than the ultimate symbol of evil. It is also the ultimate symbol of Jewish powerlessness. It is the culmination of what can happen when our people have no voice, no land, no shield. Today, we have a voice, we have a land, and we have a shield. Today, our voice is heard in the White House and in the Kremlin, in the halls of the United Nations and the American Congress, in London, Paris, and Berlin, and in countless capitals around the world, many of them represented here by you.
So you see, it's very important to listen to Netanyahu was saying. And you know, I've learned something very important. And there is a consciousness that needs to be in us. And so I was reading a very good book that a friend gave me. And inside of it, there is an amazing teaching. And it's like, I'm taking it in now. It's not just like something that you learn and take in your head, but it's like you have to make it part of you. And I wanted to share it with you, because especially about this Holocaust, seeing that we have a responsibility. And it's like we don't have like, the world is not like the Jews and the non-Jews. No, God has given the light to the Jewish people, and they are bringing the light to the nations. And I think this is very important to see again Israel being reborn, being able to live, even if there is some enemies who are against them, is very important for us as the nation also to really understand what's happening here. Now, when you look in the Bible, in Genesis 1:5 is written Yom Echad, which means the first day. So when God started to create the heaven and the earth, He's created time, because you need to be in time as human. Okay, so it's Yom Echad. And it's interesting because during the week in Hebrew, we take all the name as it is written in the Bible, Yom, funny enough, except the first one. The first one is Yom Rishon, and which means the first day. But in the Bible, it's written Yom Echad. And it's like, I always wonder why it was like that. And I discovered why by reading this book. It's like Yom Echad. But Yom Echad means is the first day, because when God created the heaven and the earth, it was just Him who was there. So Echad, this is His name. Like when the Shema is said every day by the Jewish people, it's like God is one. Echad is the same name, okay? So God created time. And then you see a bit further in Genesis 1:9, is like He started to do a place. So it's called Makom Echad. So God created time, then He created a place, okay? And then a bit further on, when you go into Genesis 2:24, you have the creation of man and women, and there is written Le Basar Echad, okay? Basar is the flesh, and Echad again is one. Mm-hmm. So you can see God created the time, a place, and now there is relationship. There is man and women who are here. So He's making like they can be one, which is amazing. And then this is like in Genesis. Then you go all the way to Zephaniah 3:9, which is my favorite verse in the Bible. Everybody knows that. When I wrote the book, it's all about that. It's like God is going to give us again the Hebrew language for humanity to really understand Him. And there in this verse is written Shechem Erad, which means one shoulder. So we're like working together, shoulder to shoulder. But it's not written shoulder to shoulder. It's written shoulder Echad, one. So again, there you can see the time, you can see the place, you can see relationship. And now Echad is like we are taking responsibility together for a world to be better. So you see this place of really remembering the Holocaust is like, and that it's happening here in Israel, that we are bringing so many leaders of the many nations, more than 40, it was almost 50. It's like suddenly there is a responsibility that is put on our shoulders to say now God has given us the time and the place and relationship, and now we need to be able to work together. So this is so very important. So it's a little contribution that I wanted to bring today, because it's important to know where we are going. And it's our responsibility, every one of us. It's like we need to be conscious of what's happening in the world. And we are coming into one big world where the nations are taking their place, and Israel is bringing so much light to all the nations.
All right, absolutely amazing. Well, one of the things that's been in the news as we've come into the studio, hot off the press, this is Fox News. I don't often refer to Fox News. It says, Trump unveils Middle East plan with two-state solution, tunnel connecting West Bank and Gaza. And United States President Donald Trump, together with the Prime Minister of Israel, called for a two-state solution as he unveiled details of his administration's much-awaited Middle East plan. Trump announced the proposal alongside Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu during remarks in the East Room of the White House. And this has been something that people have been waiting for. It says, Trump said, my vision presents a win-win situation for both sides. Today, Israel has taken a giant step towards peace. He later tweeted a map of the proposed state of Palestine. Well, I happen to have one here in front of me, the very thing itself. And you can see it says here, vision of peace. And these green areas here, I guess, are going to be forming part of the Palestinian state. Although I say that because they're also, including where we're filming today, there's a lot of Jewish communities also scattered around. So I'm not sure how exactly it's going to work out, just on paper at the moment. But there is a road there to one of the border points, and then there's this tunnel. You can see this tunnel here to Gaza, Natalie. This huge long tunnel, and I was thinking, it's very strange they're building a long tunnel to Gaza when all they're doing in Gaza is building tunnels the other way, and now they're going to. So it's a very, it's been presented, and not everybody is happy.
Abbas is not happy.
The Palestinians not happy. Well, this is from the Zionist president in America. You can see that. This is from Israel National News. And he says, we're grateful to Trump. We must remember that. But we're grateful to Trump, but we must remember all the land is ours. Religious Zionists of America President Martin Olner expresses skepticism over deal of the century, and I can see his point, Natalie.
I mean, it's like, again, we're speaking about the Creator today, and as the Creator said to Abraham, I'm going to give you a piece of land, and it's me who are giving it to you, and it's your present, and it will be for you and your descendants. So do we have to say something about it? I mean, if we really believe that He's our Creator, we have to listen to what He's saying. So I agree that this might help and this and that. Anyway, Abbas is not happy about it. It's going to make a big balagan, which means like a big mess, because Hamas is not happy. And anyway, we are going, I received something from the British embassy saying, don't go where there is too many crowd. And I heard that the Americans are doing the same. So obviously, we know that it's not going to be very easy here. But again, it's we're going to see what's happening. But again, the bottom line is we can't change what God has said.
No, and the important thing out of everything that's happening is that the embassy of the United States has moved to Jerusalem. They've recognized the Golan Heights, which for a long time they were disputed. In fact, there was talk of giving them back to Syria. And now there's even talk now of recognizing Efrat, Gush Etzion, recognizing it, and Ma'ale Adumim. So maybe there's some good things in the middle of everything. But it's just a very strange, it just seems very strange because, why does it seem so strange? Because we're in the middle of an election, even though by now a lot of Israelis are they don't know what to do because they've had so many elections that this is coming up to the third election. And I've got it here. It's got Knesset calls third election in a year. We've got an election coming up.
In March.
This is Haaretz. Israel heads to third election in 1 year. It's going to be in March. And let me see if I've got anything else.
2nd of
The
March.
Jerusalem Post. Right splits ahead of party list deadline. They've got to do a list of who's going to be up for the election. And then another one I found, Haaretz, it says, Labour, Meretz to run jointly under Peretz, no Arab candidate in number 10. So there's, and I can go on, there's just one other one, quick one. It says blue and white swerves, right as PM, corruption cases cast shadow of election.
Okay,
So,
one of the things, politics is just like crazy. And it's interesting because you see, I don't really like politics, but again, really looking at this new teaching that I was learning about responsibilities is like politics is still part of our responsibility. So you can imagine the wisdom that our leaders have to have. And the trouble is sometimes they don't know about what is written in the Torah, in the Bible. And I think it's very important. And this is our responsibility to know. We have to know what God said. And God say He's helping us. It's written in the Bible. I gave my land of Israel for my people because I have a special connection with them and they are here to enlighten the nations. It's very simple. So it's a good thing that He's in charge, I tell you.
Yeah, well, the story is, the news story is, it says Israel heads to new election for the 23rd Knesset. Israeli parliament will be held in Israel at the beginning of March 2020, which may be over by the time you get to watch this, but this is, as we've come into the studio, the extended period of political deadlock that led up to the election was the result of close races in April and September 2019 that left both incumbent Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and opposition leader Benny Gantz unable to muster a 61-seat governing majority in the coalition. And, the interesting thing is that we may end up with another election because if they can't form a coalition after having the election, Natalie, Israel will have no other choice. By law, they have to announce another election if none of the parties can form a coalition. So some people say maybe it's an issue with the system of governments, and other people say we should have a stronger way of electing people. But that's the situation.
And some other people say, because I heard that also, saying Messiah is coming soon, and so it's still there is no resolve because it will be Him who will resolve that. So this is also what people are saying. So it's important for you to know that people here in this land are looking more and more for Messiah to come because they can see that it's a big mess. But at the same time, you can see this energy in this country. Then they are having children. They have hope for the future. I hear many people in Europe, they don't want to have children anymore because they don't have hope. But here in Israel, people have hope, so they are happy to build their family. So it's very interesting to see the different way of mentality. Here, the people have a lot of hope and a lot of joy. And this is one of the things also that they say, when Messiah is coming, it needs to be also, we need to have some joy expecting Him. So it's very interesting to hear all these thoughts, you know, and let us go back to what the word is saying. And they say that Messiah is going to come. So we need to know, and not only that, that God will be one and his name will be one.
Well, one of the interesting things is administration of the Knesset not been so easy, having 3 different elections straight after each other, and they're getting different people coming. It's caused a bit of confusion. But whoever gets elected this time, if there's a government, will be the ones who sit in the government. But one of the exciting things as we come to the end of the program, I want to encourage you, is about the Temple Mount. I know that many people who watch the program are very interested in what happens on Temple Mount. And it says, Jerusalem Post says, despite police denial, Jews praying on Temple Mount. Jewish worshippers are able to pray, it's an absolute miracle, on the Temple Mount with what appears to be tacit consent of the police. The Jerusalem Post reporter said, despite the insistence by the Israeli police, there's been no change in the decades-old policy that nobody who's not Muslim can pray there. Now Jews are praying there in front of them. And the Jerusalem Post reporter said, Rabbi Eliyahu Weber took a joyful and singing group up to the Temple Mount, ascended the Temple Mount, and began at the Maghrabi Gate and worked their way around all the esplanade, and included the Amidah prayer in their praying at different places. And a Kohen, a member of the priestly line, gave a blessing to all the worshippers who come up onto Temple Mount. So absolutely amazing. After so many years, the Jewish people have had so many difficulties on Temple Mount that they're able now, not officially, but they've been able to recently pray. It has been absolutely fantastic. Well, it's been great to be with you. Thank you so much for joining us today. And it's because of your support that Natalie and I are able to come into your homes and tell you what's happening here in Israel. And if you'd like to email us, don't forget you can email us at info@israelfirst.org. Visit the website www.israelfirst.org. And remember, we're the program that looks at the land, the people, and the language